continue modernization to provide user-friendly digital systems like online accounts, support smaller communities to attract and retain newcomers, providing the right services around the country, and frankly, review our service standards so that our processing times take into the conditions that people are actually facing, because at the end of the day, we're always dealing with humans. Our aim to improve services won't only stop with newcomers. We're also addressing border crossings for Indigenous peoples in Canada, since traditional territories can cross the US border, or more appropriately, a border that has crossed those territories and peoples. Second, we need to better align immigration programs, systems and services with Canada's labour market. This is what we've heard consistently from stakeholders and all those that speak to us on a daily basis about their needs. For example, in the construction industry, in the healthcare industry, making sure that we are aligning properly that supply to the demand. By aligning our systems with the needs of workers, we'll give and continue to give ourselves a competitive advantage. By linking sectoral, regional, and industrial strategies to our immigration plan, we can help drive growth in priority areas. All this work won't be done overnight, but the work is underway, and this was an important element that was brought to us as part of the consultation that began in February. Lead global skills missions and partnerships with government representatives will be a key task. Align our international student admissions and postgraduate work permit program to current and future needs of Canadians. This is an open element that I announced on Friday, which will be work that will be continued as we hear the needs to align those talents with the skills needed in the labor market. And the third theme that I mentioned focuses on developing a comprehensive and coordinated growth plan, one that brings governments and partners together to ensure that we have the services and supports that newcomers need to succeed. This means housing, health care, infrastructure, among other success factors. I will not underestimate the importance of that. If we've heard anything from Canadians over the past few months, from the extensive surveys that are being done, Canadians are closed to immigration, but they want people like me, they want provinces, they want cities to do a better job in coordinating the arrival of immigrants, even temporary workers, and that's something that is a challenge for all levels of government. It's also why we, and particularly in the context of a housing crunch that has very little to do with immigration, it has been 30 to 40 years in the making, will continue to prioritize trades and skilled workers in construction. I'm looking at a number of options within my department to make that stream more attractive to foreign workers, including credentials, having support from unions and employers to make sure that those construction jobs that are needed, we predict about 100,000 over the course of the time we need to build all the houses we need for Canadians. That will not all come domestically, it'll have to come from abroad. Similarly, we've heard and we've made medical staff and nurses an immigration priority and offered newcomers priority entry because of their education and experience in healthcare. The comprehensive planning will also take into account the growing numbers of displaced persons globally in response to asylum demands and humanitarian responses. Again, the issue here is coordination and meeting the needs of Canadians that have asked Canada, their governments, to have open hearts, but also to plan better to the immigration and movement of people that we are seeing in mass numbers and in unprecedented numbers across the planet. And that is not going to end anytime soon, despite our geographically favorable position as a country in Canada. I also want to spend some time, and I'll have some opportunity over the next couple of days to talk about Francophone immigration policy. We have made this a staple of our government, and clearly we have heard from stakeholders that we need to do a better job in increasing our level of ambitions. I plan to be ambitious with the targets that I'll be announcing in the next few days, but I also want to be realistic. There's nothing more disappointing than having a politician stand up, make an announcement, and not have the promise fulfilled a year later. So my focus on that is making sure that my department is actually putting the mechanisms and the logistics together to make sure that Francophone communities outside Quebec are actually getting the people that they need and so desperately need to maintain the social balance and the bilingual nature of our country, as well as inside Quebec and working with Quebec and the needs that they have, whether they need more Francophone teachers or the migration that Quebec needs for its own purposes that we will respect as part of the Canada-Quebec Accord that has been around for about 30 years. Finally, I want to say that I remain convinced advancing Canada's humanitarian leadership on the world stage. We are the envy of many countries in the way we have welcomed people, but this is something that Canadians are asking us to do in much more of a planned way. But it is important to maintain that beacon of light across the world because lots of countries are looking to us in our continued leadership, and it's something that we need to keep going, particularly as we face, as I mentioned earlier, unprecedented mass migration due to war, famine, starvation, climate change. So I want to thank you all for being here today. This is the work that has been done by my team as we took a look over the summer at a strategic plan that had a lot of work done to it. It was largely accomplished by the hard work of my predecessor and the civil service that supports him and supported him and continue to support me now. But this is work that Canadians have put a lot of effort into. Some of the stakeholders that you may be speaking to fed directly into it and will see themselves in the report that you will have the opportunity to review. But it is also something that has been a long time coming, particularly as we look to modernize something that has not been particularly responsive to Canadians' needs over the last few years.